What's up guys, I'm Chirag and welcome to part 13 of the tutorial series on Python basics tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to cover the while loop in Python. So generally while loop is used to continuously iterate over any block or statement as long as any given condition is true. So the condition can be anything, right? So the syntax of while loop is something like this, that is while expression or any condition colon execute certain statement, or it can be a block of code, right? So this is basically the syntax of the while loop. So let's take an example. So let me define a variable called counter. I will initialize it as 0, right? And then we will define a while loop saying while condition. What is the condition? So I will say counter should be less than 7. So until and unless the counter is less than 7, this loop should go on, right? It should keep executing it. So I will say I want to execute print something counter colon. I will say maybe not this comma counter. So now what will happen here is I'm not incrementing the counter by any value. So the counter will remain as 0 and counter less than 7 condition will never evaluate to false. So in that case, this loop will go on, right? So what we will do is we will say counter equal to counter plus 1, right? And let's go ahead and execute this. And I will say Python 3 while underscore p13.py and I will say enter. So as you can see here, we have the outcome that is counter 0, counter 1 until 6. So overall 7, right? So while it reached counter equal to 7, this condition evaluate to false, right? Because 7 less than 7, it's false. So that's the reason the loop is terminated, right? The loop is stopped and we have this outcome. Now, for example, if the condition on line number 8 does not evaluate to false, then the loop becomes an infinite loop. So let's have a look. Maybe let me comment this. So I will say while true. So this is basically the infinite loop because it's always going to be true until and unless we break that loop, right? And I will say print, keep printing. Now if I go ahead and run this, this will be an infinite loop. So as you see, it's going on, and it's going on, right? So to stop this, you have to press Ctrl C. That will basically interrupt the loop or stop the execution of the loop, right? So this is basically an infinite loop, right? Until and unless you put in some condition and say break, right? So we are not going to cover break at this point of time, but I just wanted to give you an idea that we can use break to stop the infinite loop, right? Now, apart from this, while also have the else condition, right? So let me remove this or maybe comment this and uncomment this one, right? So here we can define something like this. So we will leave the condition as it is. We will say if counter less than 7, then it should stop the loop. Now we want to perform something whenever this condition evaluate to false. So how we can do that? So we can say else colon print condition is false, or it can be anything, right? You can put in any block of code. So let's see. Let me clear this, run again. So now as you can see here, we have the outcome that is condition is false, right? It's because when the counter becomes 7, 7 less than 7 is going to be false, and that's the reason it will go to the else part and it will execute the statement within that else part, right? So well, that's all I wanted to cover in this tutorial in terms of while loop. Until that time, if you want me to do tutorial on any use case or service, then please leave them below and I will try my best to come up with the tutorial as soon as possible. And if you have any queries or comments, then again please leave them below and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.